99% believe aliens have visited our planet. That's visited. That's past tense. They're not real comfortable saying that they might be here now. Because it's too difficult for many people to say that they might be here right now. And one of the reasons is there's a fear factor. And that fear factor is simply the unknown. The theory is that we went ahead and created an agreement with a particular race of extraterrestrials, and we allowed them to have 250,000 Americans to harvest from, and that they would stick to that. But they instantly broke that agreement and continued to abduct people. The original abductees have military ties. Many of them are enlisted GIs for what we call dual tracking. If you're enlisted in the government, you're getting some type of check. And if you're not getting a check, then perhaps you receive some type of medical benefit or any benefit. You are tracked. So they tried to track them, but then it got out of hand. And then we see generations of people being abducted, starting, say, from the 40s. In my first abduction, that in my book, it's dated 1939, and it's my grandmother. And that was pre the agreement. So we see that there's generations, and my mother's had an experience. I certainly have. My children, and so has my granddaughter, all have witnessed or seen something. But this is a difference. So why do they do it generationally? People go, well, it's DNA, it's this, it's that. I'll tell you what it is. Gray aliens live to be 900 to 1100 years old. Then they die. We live to be 80 to 110 years old if we're lucky. Not nearly half as long as a healthy tree. We have a very short existence here. We live for such a short time. They live for a long time. So when they're studying a particular gene, they have to do grandmother, daughter, so on and so forth, because they live 10 times longer than we do. That's why it's generational. No great mystery there. Just do the numbers. Sometimes it just works out to the easiest thing. So we see that extraterrestrials have been coming. Americans are beginning to believe this. Things are changing, and we have to learn how to deal with it. And we have to know, though, what might be the agenda. You know, Carl Jung, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, all believed that there was an extraterrestrial presence on the planet. You know, when Albert Einstein was asked, you get so much information, you're so smart, how does it feel to be the smartest man on the planet? You know what he said? He said, you'll have to ask Nikola Tesla. That's true humility. I mean, how can you not love that? And that's an amazing thing. You see like smart experiencers coming together, bringing their minds together so we can get the information from all the way around. That's an amazing, beautiful thing. I love the fact that he didn't say, oh, feels great. It just wouldn't have been as accepted. But they turned out to be pretty good friends in a strange way. But Albert Einstein got all the fame. Nikola Tesla kept in the background. You know why? Because he was truly a contactee. The information that he got on energy sources was in fact otherworldly. But it wasn't until 1947 when spirituality began to have an effect on the contactee. Interesting, that was just 1 year after Roswell. I know, don't say Roswell. But the spiritual aspect of contact is probably the most important thing, because I'll have to say this again, and I'll say it forever. It's not what craft. It's not what ET. That's important. You're going to spend some time on that. You need to get that information because it's going to take you to the next step. What's important is that you go to the next step. These are breadcrumbs. These are breadcrumbs bringing you to the truth. And the truth is consciousness. Know what you are. You are a human. Hue, remember, an ancient word for light. We still use it today to measure some lights and hues. Man, short for manifestation, to come into the physical. You are a human, a light embodied entity. When we die, our essence, our consciousness, I do believe, goes on. I say I believe that with every fiber in me because I'm an experiencer and I've had out-of-body experiences. I've been a meditator now for almost 35 years. And over the 35 years of meditating, I've been out of my body many times. In fact, it used to happen so much. I went to the master at the temple and said, I keep popping out of my body. I was working with some women in the sisterhood and they would say, meditate against a tree, sit at that tree. If it's 1 hour, good. 8 hours, fine. If it takes you 15 hours, you mustn't leave that tree. You sit with your back against the tree until you merge, until you feel the sap say hello to your blood. And at that moment, there's a commingling of consciousness. And then they say you're allowed to open your eyes. So I sat there, and I sat, and then I felt it, and I opened my eyes, and the view I had was an aerial view of my neighborhood. And I went, whoa, what am I? I am a human. I already said that. Eyebrows being raised on that. But that's important. See, we have enormous abilities and skills. Laurie has done super soldier conventions where they speak of superhuman feats and what these soldiers can do. They don't eat much, they're strong, they can go on and on. But guess what? Adrenaline is our superhuman strength, that with the appropriate amount of adrenaline surge through the body, my strength becomes superhuman. I can then lift a vehicle off a car to save the pinned child or whatever the case may be. So it's learning, it's self-mastery, understanding what buttons to push to get what results. We're learning this. We have to be open to it. The trick is, turn your TV off and turn yourself on. Weirdly. But open yourself to the idea that you can change your energy and begin to understand things that you might not have had an opportunity to look at. So the spiritual aspect of contact is your challenge to reality. All experiencers say, I don't really know if it's true, if it's not true, if it's real, it's not real. I think it's real. Was it a dream? Feels like this because it's outside of the norm. It's outside of your third dimension. It may be even outside of your body. Contact can take place physically, where you're physically removed, or it can be just from the conscience, and you feel that your mind is being taken somewhere. Or is it your mind, or is it your essence? The mind is more of a mechanical thing attached to the brain. The consciousness is different. It's larger. It's more fluid. It understands there's no space. There's no sense of time. It understands fourth dimensional thinking when we are open to it. This